Okay, we're currently being fed a massive bit of propaganda at the moment, and this notion of masterclass, one of the greatest drives you'll ever see, all this bullshit, designed to cause conflict, designed to get people to fight each other and to argue over something. And I'm going to do a video about that after this one. I'm going to keep this one short. Those of you that know anything about motorsport, okay, not the new one, not the new children that are attracted by the show, okay, you're being abused, unluckily, children. Sadly, I feel for you. You're being abused. I'm trying to tell you that you're being abused by the show, but you're liking the abuse that you're receiving. Unfortunate, but one day some of you may well wake up to it, most of you won't. Anyway, here's something that is factual, okay? Something that's real because it actually is real. Max Verstappen went from 17th to 1st, yeah? Okay. Two of them cars weren't there. So, Lance Stroll wasn't there and Alex Albon wasn't there. So that means he's only gone from 15th to 1st, okay? Of them, who did he actually perform an overtake on? Okay, so let's go down the list of competitors from this season, the 2024 season. Let's see who are the best drivers this season in the best cars this season, those cars that have got the performance advantage over other cars perhaps, and see the quality of the field that Max actually overtook at the Brazilian Grand Prix. So, Max is top of the championship. Was incredible for the first 5 races of this season. That Red Bull car was untouchable. And then the wheels fell off when the FIA finally started disclosing to slow Max down, to make it an interesting title fight this year because people were switching off. So they goes, oh, illegal asymmetric braking device. Oh, illegal ride height adjustment. Oh, how else can we slow him down? But we want to still enable him to keep far enough ahead so he still wins, but we want to keep people semi-interested. They want to give you a semi, lads. They want to give you a semi. Anyway, it's working. Second in the championship, Lando Norris. Did Max Verstappen overtake Lando Norris? Did he perform an overtake on Lando Norris? No. What happened is McLaren, all teams, all drivers in that race, you couldn't bank on the red flag, could you? So therefore, you would try and take your tyre change during a time where you're going to lose less time, relative race time. That could be virtual safety car, could be safety car. Okay, nobody knows. It's only live once. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So when there was a virtual safety car, which was just ending, there were drivers that went into the pits. Okay, Max chose not to do that. Red Bull rolled the dice. They had nothing to lose. Okay, but Max would have still had to have gone into the pits to change his tyres, because trying to perform that full race duration, 70 laps on the same set of tyres, intermediates, well, firstly, I don't think that it's allowed. I might be wrong on that. I don't really care. Ultimately, in a normal dry race, you have to utilise 2 compounds of tyre. In a wet race, you don't have to use 2 compounds of tyre. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to change those tyres, okay? But what it's saying is, I mean, in a wet race, you don't have to use inters and wets, full wets, okay? You can use inters all the way through. You can use full wets the whole way through. Okay, you don't have to use the slick compounded tyre. No. So therefore, do you still have to change those tyres? I don't know the answer to that. I don't care. The chances are trying to complete race distance on just one set of tyres, well, you're going to have to be nursing those tyres so that you don't run out of grip. Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes sense that maybe over the course of the race, them grooves in the tyres that are designed to disperse the water and still enable you to have contact between the rubber and the track, okay, if you wear them tyres so much that them grooves have been worn out, well, them intermediate tyres aren't going to perform their function. Okay, you are going to slide off the track because the grooves have gone. So it's highly likely you're going to have to make a tyre change. So, Red Bull, I very much doubt we're attempting to complete that race distance with a single set of tyres. I don't know if that's even legal. As such, they didn't pit at that particular time, but would have had to. When he'd have pitted, he'd have lost some time. Had it just been a safety car without a red flag, they didn't pit in then. Why not? Because everybody was bunching up and it had been dropped to the back of the pack. He got it for free under a red flag. So let's look at who he overtook on the track. Lando Norris. Did he overtake Lando Norris on that track? Second in the championship? No, he didn't. Lando pitted, Max stayed out on track. That's how he got past Lando. Charles Leclerc. Did he overtake the third place in the championship on track? No, he didn't. Charles Leclerc was the only one in that race who defended against Max Verstappen. The only competitor in that race who defended against Max Verstappen. And he did. Kept him behind him. And then, it was only for about 1 or 2 laps, and then Charles Leclerc pitted. Got out of the way. Cleared the path for Max Verstappen. So again, 2 competitors out of the top 3. He hasn't had to pass. That was done by them getting out of his way. Oscar Piastri, 4th in the championship. Max Verstappen did overtake Oscar Piastri. Oscar's only in his 2nd full season of Formula 1, to my knowledge. Could be his 3rd, I think it's his 2nd. I might be wrong. Either way, he's not an experienced driver, and he probably has not had that much experience of driving in such conditions. And therefore, he's probably not going to be trying to defend in a robust manner. There might be some internal politics going on within that McLaren team, whereby he's having to play second fiddle to Lando, and probably isn't particularly happy about that. So he's not too bothered about having to perform this role of massive rear gunner and linebacker to protect his team leader Lando. But Oscar Piastri, the 4th in the championship, was somebody that Max Verstappen did have to pass on track, and did so. But that wasn't the biggest of challenges to do so. Getting past Oscar Piastri in those conditions in Brazil was not a magnificent achievement for the reasons I've just cited. Carlos Sainz. 5th in the championship. Where did Carlos Sainz start that race? Carlos Sainz started that race from the pits. Therefore, Max didn't have to pass him. 6th place, George Russell. George Russell pitted and Max stayed out. Max went by as George was in the pits. So, top 6 in this year's championship, both in terms of the drivers and the strengths of their vehicles. Max has only passed 1 of the other 5, but obviously Max is one of those top 6. Max has only passed 1 of them, and that's Oscar Piastri, the least experienced guy in those conditions. That's not GOAT material, is it? That's not a massive achievement when 4 of them have got out of your way. Carlos Sainz, you've not had to pass. Norris, Leclerc and Russell, they've all gone into the pits and got out of your way. Then he has passed Lewis Hamilton in 7th. Lewis Hamilton is driving a sabotaged vehicle. It's clear to see from the American Grand Prix 3 races ago that Hamilton's car is not handling. Hamilton lost it on the first or second lap of that race. Hamilton doesn't do that in a car that's controllable. Wasn't a good car in Mexico either. We saw how it took him about 10 or 12 laps with the aid of DRS to make it past Russell's car. Hamilton is driving a sabotage car. Mercedes are purposefully trying to undermine Lewis Hamilton to make it sure that George Russell finishes higher in the championship. So getting past a Lewis Hamilton driving that machine is not difficult. And if people don't accept that dynamic, well, you're a fool. If you're that much of a fanboy that you have to believe the notion that you're up against a Lewis Hamilton capable of actually contesting a Grand Prix, you're delusional. Okay? In that vehicle, he is being purposefully undermined to try and diminish his legacy. That's the situation. Now, I don't care what you like. I don't care what you think. It is what it is. Okay, and if he gets a car that's a competitive car again, it will be proven that he's not lost his talent. But I can't guarantee that he's going to be provided with that. He's not going to be provided with that at Mercedes. I say that they might pull it out of the bag just for a last hurrah as part of the narrative. Who knows? If the championship's over, what a great way to end the season by Lewis Hamilton going out on a high from Mercedes. You couldn't make it up, could you? Well, we'll see. We'll see what can be made up and what can't. 8th in the championship, Sergio Perez. Oh, the rear gunner. That's what Sergio Perez is. He's not going to hold his teammate up. So, every time Perez is ahead of Verstappen, Perez gets out of the way. And I can take you back to Spa this year. Oh, Perez was ahead of Verstappen. Oh, we'll pit Perez a lot earlier than necessary just so that he's out of the way of Verstappen. Perez span on the first lap as well. So I think Max had already overtaken him anyway, but then Perez span from the back of the field. We're down to 8th. So far, what has Max done? If you want something to be a masterclass, what you are doing, you are demonstrating that what you have done relative to your peers has been something that is remarkable. What's remarkable about that? We're down to 8th. This is the top 8. What has Max done relative to those top 8 competitors? He's got by Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc and George Russell, by them pitting and Max staying out on track, and then Max not being dropped back 20 seconds when he had to then pit because he got that for free. He's got by Oscar Piastri, and Oscar's not an experienced driver in them conditions, so not a difficult manoeuvre to accomplish. He's got by Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz would already be put behind him. Lewis Hamilton in the kind of Mercedes that Mercedes are giving Lewis Hamilton, his teammate. We're then down to Fernando Alonso. Now, Fernando Alonso, we know, well, Fernando wasn't having a good weekend. That Aston Martin's not a particularly great car at the moment. And Fernando Alonso is a Max Verstappen fan. He'll often wave Max by, and yet he'll fight like hell to keep Lewis Hamilton behind him. So that's not a really a great accomplishment in passing Fernando Alonso. Then we will go on to Nico Hülkenberg. Well, Nico Hülkenberg blows hot and cold. So again, overtaking a Haas car, is that an amazing achievement, amazing accomplishment? I wouldn't say so. The other drivers don't really have an issue with that, do they? If you've got a reasonable car, then overtaking a Haas isn't particularly difficult. Okay, Lewis Hamilton struggles to overtake the Haases. Why is that? Why is that Lewis Hamilton struggles to overtake a Haas car? Well, he struggles to overtake a Mercedes car that is like 2 iterations of upgrade less than Lewis Hamilton's car. You know, the car that was only good for Miami earlier this year, and Lewis Hamilton's got 2 more advances, 2 more redesigns since then, and Lewis can't overtake that car, even with the aid of DRS. What kind of car are they giving Lewis Hamilton? What's the truth there? So yeah, that's why Lewis Hamilton struggles to overtake Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas. Yuki Tsunoda in the B team, the Red Bull B team. That's why they call it RB. Okay, Red Bull B team. Yeah, he performs his role of holding some of the others up so that they don't spread out too much, so that Max doesn't have to catch too much ground on them. And then when Max does get there, he just gets out of the way and waves Max through. He'll fight like hell against everybody else, but as soon as Max is there, through you go, Max. Nobody else in that race has 3 other cars that do that for them. 4 when you include Fernando Alonso. But no other competitor in the race or in the history of the sport has 3 other team members who will try and fight like hell against every other opponent. Each of his title rivals, they will try to keep them up, keep them held up, keep them behind them, waste time in their race time, but as soon as Max comes up behind them, through you go, Max. Quick, off you go. And this is greatness, supposedly. Pierre Gasly. All right, the Alpines did okay, but same on strategy. Were it not for Russell, Norris, Leclerc pitting, and the Alpines not pitting, and then the Alpines saving 20 seconds of race time at least. Okay, because these things get, they actually compound up when you get these stop-start situations and the visibility when you're not got the clear air at the start. This is the thing. Congratulations to Alpine, but you benefited massively due to the red flag. Were it not for that red flag, there is no way that anybody would have said that you were on course for a 2-3 in that race. No way. But nobody's saying, Alpine put on a masterclass with their 2-3. Alpine put on a masterclass by beating the other Red Bull car, by beating the Ferraris, by beating the McLarens, by beating the Mercedes. Was that a masterclass by Alpine? Or was that just lucky? Tell me, was it a masterclass by Alpine, or was that just lucky that they benefited from the red flag? So was it an Alpine masterclass, or was it lucky? And if it was lucky, how can it just be luck for them, and yet a masterclass by Max? The strap-on fanboy. Yeah, I know. Don't you worry, little heads. Don't you worry, little heads. Lance Stroll, 13th in the championship, for a reason. We saw on that warm-up lap. Esteban Ocon, 14th in the championship. Doing really well, isn't he, is Esteban? Great car in the Alpine. Great driver in Esteban Ocon. Masterclass, so in this race, by coming second. A masterclass by Esteban Ocon. Or just fortunate. Fortunate due to the circumstances that conspired, which meant that he got a free tyre change, ended up in clean air, didn't have to deal with spray, got himself out there and benefited. Kevin Magnussen. In fact, I don't know whether it was Hulkenberg or Magnussen. I don't even know which one drove in that race or didn't, because Ollie Behrman was the other one, wasn't he? So, whatever. Who is it you're competing against? Same sort of thing as I said about Hulkenberg. Blows hot and cold, both him and Magnussen. You know, again, most drivers in the top teams, the McLarens don't have a problem in passing the Haas cars, whether it be Magnussen or Hulkenberg. The Ferraris don't usually have a problem passing them. The Red Bull, well, the Red Bull of Max Verstappen doesn't have a problem. George Russell doesn't have a problem. So it's not a massive achievement for Max to be passing the likes of him. 16th in the championship, Alex Albon didn't start the race. 17th in the championship, Daniel Ricciardo, no longer in the championship because he's not good enough. Ollie Behrman, new to Formula One. Looks like he could be a decent driver, but new to wet conditions. Overtaking a driver that is new to the sport, not experienced in wet conditions, is not a difficult task. So we're down to 18th, 19th. Same goes for Franco Colapinto. Looks like a promising talent. New to these conditions in a Formula One car. Not a difficult task to overtake, especially in the early stages of the race where they're being tentative. They don't want to smash out of that race in the first few races before they've picked up field, before they've actually, adjusted to the grip levels and are confident. They'd rather be tentative, and fair play to that. I'd rather that drivers were tentative in the early stages rather than pushed it when they weren't confident in the grip and the feel of their car. Not a problem. Liam Lawson, another promising talent, was driving well, was doing well. but in the Red Bull B team. The moment Max Verstappen came up behind him, he fought like hell against everybody else. He was racing against everybody else. As soon as Max is there, through you go, Max. Helmut would not be happy with me if I held up Max. So through you go, Max. Off you go. Go, 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 go. I'll make sure I keep everybody else behind. We're down to 20th in the championship. Joe, I think he probably started behind Max anyway. I'm assuming he did, because these steak, Sauber, kick, whatever they are, they're dog shit. Logan Sargent, Williams, no longer in the championship. Valtteri Bottas, Sauber, started ahead of Max, but in the dog shit Sauber car. Easy to pass. And they're selling this to us as being a masterclass. I'm going to do a video about the media matrix, because this is what they've done to us now, and what we're seeing with the YouTube algorithm. I'm working it out. And one of the things that's helping me work it out is if you say the right thing, the algorithm promotes your channel. The algorithm recommends it if you're saying the right thing. So this lad here, lower lap time, he's got just 3.2 thousand subscribers. All right, so I've got over 8,000 subscribers. He's produced a video, okay, that's saying the right thing, and he's got 39,000 views. My 8,000 subscribers, my video that's not saying the right thing has got 1,500 views. Oh, it's the way the algorithm works. If YouTube knows that you're complying with the narrative, YouTube recommends that video. If you're saying things that they don't want being said, and they don't want people to hear, oh, that's the algorithm. So I'm going to do an example of that in the next video. And I'm going to go through this video at some point, because, dear me, this lad has got the whole box. He's got the knee pads. He's got the mouthwash ready for afterwards as well. This man, you could actually make a educational video on the techniques that this guy uses in fluffing Max Verstappen. Does an incredible job. He'll get a job in mainstream media, this lad will. Anyway, that'll do on this one. Thank you for your time.